The push-up is by far one of the best exercises at developing the chest, shoulders, and triceps. Even though it's been around for well over 100 years, and even though it requires only your body weight, the push-up continues to be one of the most effective body weight exercises of all time. When performed correctly, it primarily targets your upper body, but your core and your legs also contract to stabilize your body throughout the movement, making it very effective at developing overall fitness. Now, almost everyone has done push-ups at least at one point in their lives, but most people don't know that there are many different ways that you can perform push-ups to help target and develop specific parts of your upper body like your chest, shoulders, and triceps. That's why in today's video, I want to give you 10 of the best push-up variations that you could use to get stronger and build muscle without the use of any equipment. And the first variation that I want to start with is the dead stop push-up. So to begin, you're going to lie down flat on the ground with your elbows bent and your hands planted on the floor about even with your shoulders. From there, you're going to lift your hands off the floor and pull your elbows back towards the ceiling while squeezing your shoulder blades nice and tight together. Pause and squeeze for a second, then bring your hands back down to the floor, tighten your abs, your quads, and your glutes, and push yourself up until your arms are fully locked out. Then slowly lower yourself down all the way to the floor, lift your arms up off the floor, pull your elbows back, and squeeze your shoulder blades together, and then repeat for reps. Now, this variation is really awesome because in addition to the chest, shoulders, and triceps, it also targets your upper back every time you lift your hands up off the floor and pull your elbows back. The other benefit of lowering yourself all the way to a dead stop on the ground is that you eliminate the help of something known as the stretch reflex. Basically, anytime that you slowly lower yourself down, whether it's sitting into a squat or going down for a push-up, your muscles have sensor organs in them that feel that stretch happening, and they get loaded up to spring back with force. Imagine a rubber band being stretched and then released. It'll, of course, contract with a lot of force. However, by lowering yourself all the way to the ground and relaxing for a second, you take away that stretch reflex, making each push-up more challenging. Next, we have one that many of you may not know about, the archer push-up. This exercise allows you to put more of your body weight on one side, so it's harder than a regular push-up, but easier than a one-arm push-up. You'll start in a push-up position with your hands wider than a regular push-up. Your arms should be locked out and your body should be straight. The goal is to have the back of your head, your tailbone, and your heels in a relatively straight line. This is something that you should remember in general when doing most of these push-up variations. You don't want to allow your hips to sink down or drive up unless the exercise specifically calls for you to do that. So from your starting wide push-up position, you're going to bend one elbow and lower yourself to that same side while straightening out your other elbow. Then press back up, bringing your body back in the middle of both of your arms in your original starting position. Then repeat the same thing on the other side and go back and forth for reps. Another great variation is the Spider-Man crawl push-up. For this one, you'll begin by getting into a regular push-up starting position, and then you're going to lift your left hand up and plant it in front of your other hand. At the same time, you're going to bring your right knee up to your right elbow as you lower yourself down for a push-up. Then, while staying low to the ground, you'll alternate and repeat the same motion on the other side, where you'll now take your right hand, plant it in front of your left hand as you bring your left knee to your left elbow and perform a push-up. Then after taking 2 steps forward, you're going to go in reverse by taking 2 steps back. So you'll do this by leading with your left foot and following the same motion backwards. Then just repeat 2 forward and 2 backward, back and forth. This exercise may feel a little challenging as far as getting the coordination down at first, but I promise after a few reps, it'll feel a lot more natural. Next, we have a very simple but very effective exercise that allows you to target the chest much more, the wide grip push-up. This one is pretty straightforward. You simply get into a push-up position with your hands wider apart than they would be with a normal push-up. How wide you go is really up to you, but the wider you move your hands, the more challenging it'll get and the more tension you'll be putting on your chest. So you're gonna wanna start with your body in that straight line. And when you lower yourself down, do your best to track your elbows back. The wider grip will make many people flare their elbows out as they go down, but this is bad for your shoulders, so concentrate on pulling them back as you go down and press back up to that starting position. For most push-up variations, you'll want to keep your elbows at about a 45-degree angle from your body. Now, if you want to make these wide grip push-ups even more challenging, you can use platforms to increase your range of motion and get deeper at the bottom. Now that we specifically targeted the chest, let's move on to the Sphinx push-up to help target more of the triceps. Start by getting into a plank position with your elbows planted on the ground under your shoulders and your forearms parallel to each other. As opposed to a regular push-up where your hands would be directly under your shoulders, for the Sphinx push-up, your hands should be slightly in front of your shoulders. From that position, you'll want to press into the ground with your hands and your forearms until your elbows are fully locked out. Then slowly lower yourself back down to the starting plank position by bending your elbows until you can plant both of them back down on the ground, and then repeat. Another great, more common exercise for the triceps is the diamond push-up. To begin, you're going to get into a plank position with your hands close together directly under your chest. You'll want your thumbs and pointer fingers touching so that your hands form a triangle or a diamond shape. From there, while keeping your body in a straight line, bend your elbows and begin lowering yourself to the ground. While doing this, you want to make sure that you're keeping your elbows tight to your rib cage rather than flaring your elbows out. You want to concentrate on tracking those elbows back rather than out to your sides. Lower yourself all the way down, and just before your chest hits the floor, press your body back up to the starting position and then repeat for reps. Up next is the single leg push-up. There are a couple ways to do these, and all of them will put more tension on your core and help you develop better stability. The easier way to do this is to get into a push-up position with your body in a straight line, and then before beginning, you'll stack one foot on top of the other so that your toes are stacked on top of your heel. Then from there, perform regular push-ups. To make it more challenging, you can lift your leg higher up in the air. This will not only take away some stability, but it'll also shift more weight towards your upper body. Perform the push-up by lowering yourself down and pressing back up with your leg up in the air the whole time. Another exercise that's more challenging than a regular push-up that can be used to better target your upper chest and your shoulders is the pike push-up. You can do pike push-ups on the floor, but if possible, I want you to use some sort of platforms to elevate your hands and feet off the ground, since this will allow you to get a greater range of motion, giving you a nice stretch on every rep. So you're going to set up 3 platforms that are about the same height. Then you're going to place your feet on one platform and place each of your hands on the other 2 so that you're in an elevated push-up position. Then raise your hips up and get into a downward dog position. From there, you want to bend your elbows and lower yourself down slowly until you feel a nice stretch in your chest and your shoulders. Then press yourself back up until you're back to the original starting position and repeat for reps. Now, if this is too difficult for you, you can of course perform this exercise on the ground, where your head will limit your range of motion, but it will make the exercise a little easier. A similar exercise that'll once again challenge your chest and your shoulders is the dive bomber, which is also referred to as the Hindu push-up or the judo push-up. To begin, you'll get down on the ground in a downward dog position with your hips up in the air. Then you're going to lower yourself to the ground for what looks exactly like a pike push-up, but as you near the bottom and your chest comes closer and closer to the ground, you want to drop your hips down almost to the floor and press your upper body up so you end up in what looks like a cobra stretch. Hold that position for a second and then go backwards in reverse by bending your elbows and lowering your upper body to the ground, then raising your hips back up into that starting downward dog position and pressing yourself up until your elbows are all the way straight. From there, just repeat for reps. Finally, for our last and probably one of the more challenging push-up variations, we have the clap-ups or plyometric push-ups. These help you develop explosive power and are a great way to overload your push muscles without using any extra weight. There are a couple ways you can do this depending on if you're a beginner, intermediate, or if you're advanced. So for beginners, you'll just start in a regular push-up position, lower yourself down to the floor, and then drive your hands hard into the floor and explode up so that your hands leave the floor. Then land with your elbows slightly bent and go down for your next rep. If you're intermediate, you can try clap-ups where you would explode the same way, except now you would want to clap your hands together in mid-air before landing with your hands on the ground and your elbows slightly bent. Lastly, if you're advanced, you could perform a clap-up behind your back. So you would explode off the ground high enough to have enough time to clap behind your back and land with your arms bent. Then go right into the next push-up and repeat for reps. So those are the 10 best push-up variations that you could literally do anywhere. Remember that for almost all of these exercises, you can make them more challenging by either performing them on a decline angle with your feet up on a platform or a bench, or adding more weight. Also, if any of them are too difficult, you can make it easier by performing them on your knees instead of being up on your toes. Now, if you want to incorporate all of these exercises into one workout, you could start by doing 10 to 20 reps of each and reach 100 to 200 reps of push-ups by the end. On the other hand, you can just select 3 or 4 of the exercises and perform 10 to 20 reps of each for 3 sets with short 1-minute breaks in between. That about wraps it up. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon. Also, if you're looking to get into the best shape of your life at home without the use of any equipment, and you want a streamlined approach that's designed to get your results fast without you having to even think about it, head on over to my website and get started on one of our programs. You'll get a customizable diet plan based on your preferences to help you burn fat and build muscle, as well as a recipe book, a full 42-day workout program that could be done in-home or at the gym, and you'll of course have an accountability coach to help guide you through the entire process and answer any questions that might come up. To find out more, you can click the link below in the description, or you could visit my website directly at gravitytransformation.com. I'll see you guys soon.